Wherefore, Part 7. It is a well-known fact that Stroud is run by 7 wizards and has been for hundreds of years. There are always 7. More and less good. More and less terrible. Fortunately for the people of Stroud, the wizards are so often caught up in their own squabbles that for all their power they change very little. So intent are they on thwarting each other that most of the time they get very little else done. Not to mention the impact of being thwarted. At present, each of the 7 wizards is uncomfortably aware of a shift in power across the 5 valleys. They have dowsed with pendulums. They have studied the skies and the runes and the flight of birds in the hope of understanding where this magic has come from. One of the wizards has even gone so far as to cut open and read the entrails of a Linda McCartney roast, which is a measure of the seriousness of the situation. They know each other well, know the hallmarks and habits of their rivals. There is a lot of new magic in the valleys, and none of it is easily attributable. And so each of the 7 wizards fears the same 2 things. Firstly, that a well-known rival has suddenly grown in power and skill, or secondly, and even more alarmingly, that a new and superior wizard has entered the district. The tea leaves have revealed nothing. The wisdom from the spilled guts of Linda McCartney's roast is that said wizard really needs to sharpen his ritual knives. It is some days into the waning of the moon, and the wizard Wigston, master of the wild places and hoarder of ancient tomes, is sat in his allotment. It is a quiet night. He has folded his tweed garments into a tidy pile. He has drunk a lengthy run of toasts in honour of the earth spirits and the ancient gods of the land. He has libated thoroughly, and with his usual enthusiasm. He now waits for his spell to take effect. His body hums with the charge of it. This is familiar magic, and he slides easily from the shape of his everyday self into something halfway towards another life. Having experimented at length, he knows exactly the balance of man and badger to hold within himself. He becomes a liminal being, fur and skin, snout and face, both and neither. One foot firmly in the human world, the other a paw with an urge to dig for worms. By the time he has found his form, the others of the Badger Council are around him. Shamans of the oldest stripe who know how to step beyond their own pools for a while to meet him halfway. It is as well there are no witnesses aside from your near omnipresent narrator, because the overall visual effect is uncomfortable to behold. Sat in a circle, there are rituals that pass between the participants which are not mine to disclose. Rituals that require the language of soil and bristle and are not for us to know. The wizard Wigstan has earned, through diligence and respect over many years, the right to sit between skins in this council of badger sorcerers. We have not. In this gathering, the wizard Wigstan learns some things about the new magic that has come into the 5 valleys. Perhaps most importantly, that it is not new at all, but very old magic, and wild in nature. The badgers recognise it from traditional stories and the way it tastes on the tongue, but none of them has experienced such enchantment before in this lifetime. They are untroubled by it, though. This is magic that has a rightful place in the world. It is not the greedy meddling of some human fool. It is meant to restore, although it may not do so kindly. "What should I do?" the wizard Wigstan asks. "Keep listening," the badgers tell him. "Listen to the soil for changes. It is all around us, even now, this magic." The wizard Wigstan looks around the allotments. There are so many living, thinking, feeling beings around him that he cannot pick out any distinct presence among them, the interloper hidden by the sheer exuberance of life. "Noisy, isn't it?" one of the badgers expresses. "So much life. So many more roots. They live in the soil." The wizard Wigstan has a keen appreciation of soil. "Let us sing it into you so that you will know," the badgers suggest. It is as well that there are no witnesses, other than myself, to the singing, for it is a sound no one should hear who has not first made lengthy magical preparations. The wizard Wigston is as ready as a humanish person could ever be to enter into a badger song about the nature of reality. Even so, he will need litres of ginger beer and several days of recovery afterwards. He is willing to pay this price for knowledge, and lies down in the centre of their circle so that they can sing the truth into his body. The badger song takes him into the soil, into the smallest flickers of being. The life of the soil is at once tiny and an enormous enchanted whole. Everything comes from the soil. The wizard Wigston sees himself standing in his allotment, resplendent in his tweed. He watches them grow from the soil around him. They are humans, and at the same time they are rhubarb plants. Above them all the moon is full. The rhubarbs swell in number and size. "Where do you come from?" he asks them. "What is your source?" "We come from the soil," they tell him. And while it is true, it is also not a sufficient answer. Even before the vision ends, he knows that time must be devoted to finding the right question to ask. He needs to know what is going on, but now he suspects that it may be less dire than he first feared. It is not his job, after all, to fight nature. He knows that nature can be poisonous, sharp, hungry, and otherwise likely to kill you, but he does not see life as conflict, more a kind of cooperation, in which one will find lunch day by day, and eventually turn out to be lunch.